G'day and welcome to David Joshua Ford Live. This is episode 69. Great to be with you here on YouTube and also on Facebook. It's been a while since I've gone live on Facebook, so I thought I would give that a go. But today we're talking about YouTube chapter markers and how to automate the process of capturing them during a live stream. So I'm going to demonstrate that today. And we're going to look at the setup of that, how you're going to capture them throughout the live stream, and then how you're going to convert that data so that you can bring it into YouTube and you can make that something that is easy for, well, that YouTube can read it and you don't have to scroll through an hour-long live stream and sort of make sure that, finding all the good bits, because that can take up to an hour just doing that. So this is a method that I've been working on for quite a while now, and it's like 95% there. There's a few things I'd like to tweak to it, but I think it's ready for you guys to employ it in your live stream productions, because it really is kind of set and forget. It's something that once I've set it up, it's always capturing that in the background of my live streams, and just sort of makes that easy to do from week to week. So I'll take a look at, I'll give you an idea of what we're gonna be doing here with a previous live stream. Let me see if I can jump in here and jumping in there. I'm just going to open up this window. All right, so under, also if you're on Facebook, say hi, because as I was saying, it's been a while since I've been live on Facebook, but I do have you guys on there with the chat, so I can read your chat, and it's one of those things where you if you haven't been live to a platform for a while, you're like, where are all the buttons? But we got there, I found it. Okay, so let's take a look at this sort of page. So after a live stream, you have the description page, and this is episode 67, this was 2 weeks ago. If you, in YouTube, type in 000 space and then whatever you want to call it, that is going to create a signal to YouTube that you're creating chapter markers. So you can manually go through and just type all this out, which is basically all these different time codes and then something that's happening after that. So you can see that we've got this pre-roll from 0, and then at 3:35, that's when the show actually began. So the importance of doing this is that after a live stream, this is very long form content, and if people are trying to if they want to find something specific, then these chapter markers mean that they're going to be able to jump through your content and find what's relevant for them. In this case, the start of the show is pretty important because you don't want to watch the pre-roll. The pre-roll is just kind of we're getting started, getting people notified that the show is beginning, and then at the top of the hour, that is when I begin the show. So in this particular video, I had 3 minutes and 35 seconds of pre-roll before that show started, and then you can see I've got part 1, 2, and then some questions and a goodbye. So that will break that up. I'm going to click on this link, and hopefully I can mute this in time because we're going to get a bunch of ads coming in here. But I'll show you how this works on the YouTube chapter end. So remember all those markers that we had. If I just click over here, you'll notice down here it says pre-roll. So this is where all these chapters now are in there. So instead of having pre-roll, I can just jump straight to the beginning of the show, and that is where the good content begins. Or if I was like, all right, I don't listen to David's preamble, then you could jump straight into part 1 talking about embracing the change and that kind of stuff. So these are the markers that we want to create in today's tutorial, and I'm going to show you how to make that simple and just something so you don't have to, let me hit my button here, spend all that time going through and doing that manually. Before we get started, let's just say g'day to a couple of people. We got Robert joining from Poland, and we've got Jules, the Uptown neighbor. Great to have you here. As we go along, if you have any questions, do drop them in the chat, and it'd be great to answer your questions and just see how you guys are doing. All right, so let's go to the first part of this, and we're going to look at how we set up, because there's a couple of things that we need to connect here. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know I do a lot of things in an application called Companion, and Companion is going to speak to another application called Notion, which is sort of like a free note-taking app. And the Companion, as we go through the live stream and we're triggering chapter markers, Companion is going to send those time codes over to Notion, which is going to keep a log of all of this. And then we're going to use that data to bring it into YouTube. So we're going to go over to Notion. And I'm just going to go full screen here. Okay, so when you get to Notion, you can sign up using Google or Facebook or that kind of stuff. So we've got to do a couple of things to connect Companion to Notion, and that is making a connection. So we're going to go up here to Settings and Members. I'm just going to, let me see if I can, I'm going to cut away for a second, because there's a ton of sensitive data in here, and I'm trying to do a live stream here without giving away my own keys. Let's go back to this one here. Okay, so once you've clicked on that, down here is this Connections tab here. You can see I've got a couple here, but you want to come down to Develop or Manage Integrations. You're going to click on that, go New Integration, and we're just going to give it a name, so DJF Demo, and Submit, and then that's all we need to do. So this is going to create a secret key. And so that is something that we can, I'll show you this one because this is a demo one. So this is one we're going to copy, and then we're going to put that back into Companion when we get to that point. Let me just go back to integrations, and sorry, I've got to get where'd my page go? Under my Notion tab, and there we go. Okay, I'm back in the right spot. Okay, so now that we have created that connection, we need to connect that connection to a page where all of the data is going to be input. So from up here, you can just go New Page, and we're going to call this DJF Demo, like so, and we can just close that one down. So you can see I've got a couple in here. The one that I use for all of my shows, I just called that Run of Show, and I got a ton of, each of these are, every time I've created a live stream, it's automatically creating this. So I've got just a log of everything that I've done in terms of live streams. This one here, DJF Demo, is the page. And then there's one more step that we have to do. We created a connection and we created a page, and now we need to link these two. So if I click on DJF Demo, then over here in the upper right corner is a little menu with 3 dots, and you come down to Add Connections. And then there's a bunch of connections that you can add in. You'll notice that my Run of Show one that you might have seen before is in there. I had a test one, and where's my demo? Where's my demo one? I can't see my demo. Okay, maybe I needed to turn on DJF Demo. I think there's one more thing I had to turn on, which is under DJF Test under Demo in here. I think if you turn on Capabilities, and I just want to be able to read the user data here in that integration. All right, let's go back here and see if that fixed it. And over here, add a connection, DJF. I don't know why that's not showing up. Let me just refresh the page, see if that will do it. Over to the connection, add connections, DJF Demo. Okay, so you just need to refresh the page. I don't think you actually have to turn on that step that I just did before. So refresh the page if it's not showing up. And then this is just saying the connection is going to have access to all of this database in the child pages, and we confirm, and then that's all good. So this is now connected. So next time that I come back into DJF Demo, we're going to see new pages come in there every time we start a session. So next thing we need to do is go to, let me just pull back over here, go Gotta find my right page here. Hang on a second. Where are we going? All my tabs. Gotta get into companion. Okay, so now we're gonna jump over to companion. If you're not familiar with this, there's plenty of stuff on my channel about companion, but just know that it's a free application that you can download from bitfocus.io, get it up and running, and then you'll have this one in here. So there's two things you can do. One is I have a template on my website where you can import an ATEM switcher, and part of that, which you'll see down here, is that I have 3 buttons here that are related to timecode logging. So starting a session, stopping a session, and marking. If you go grab this free one from my website, then you can, let me see if I gotta see my tabs here. That's what I can't see. If you go to my website, the store, free control profiles, free ATEM switcher. If you download this one, that will give you a profile that you can then import. So if we come over to BitFocus, import, this is where you would grab your profile and you would import that, and then it would dump that into a page that would look like this. And then we have our buttons over here that we can use to do the marker. If you don't want to do that step, you can actually just create this yourself under add connection. If you type in timestamp, Notion timestamp, you can see this will pop up here. I'm going to call this timestamp demo because I have a couple of these and I need to delete this. So this is where it's asking for the Notion API key and the page ID. So this is where we come back over to the integrations, and under your integration here, we're going to show that one. So I'm going to copy this one. This is the secret key. Whoop. And I'm going to paste that one in there. And then we want the parent page ID. So this is just part of the URL, not the whole URL. But if I go back over to DJF demo, so not this one, if I go to DJF demo and you come up to your, the address of this particular page, you'll see DJF demo hyphen is the page name. This will change if you change the page name, but what won't change is everything after that hyphen. So I just want to copy from 179C through to 483. So I just want to copy that piece. And we're going to paste that into page ID, and we're going to hit save. And we've got this little green check down here, which means that everything is looking good. All right, so now we have companion connected to Notion, and we're ready to build some buttons and to try some things out. So next up, I'm just going to go into, let me just go back to page 2 here. I think I had a test button timestamp here. I'm just using this one here. So I'm just going to delete that, and we're going to start a button. So we can create a button that's going to appear over here. I'm going to call this Mark Demo, just because I got a few of them. And you go timestamp. And I've got a couple in here. So the one I'm looking for is timestamp demo. There's 3 actions you can choose from. You can either start a session, stop a session, or create a marker. So I'm going to create a marker, and then I could put whatever message I want in here. I could just call it mark, but you can also, if you do dollars parentheses, you can put a lot of variables in there. So that's where you can pull things like YouTube metadata or a time of day or button information. And there's a bunch of things. If you go into variables up here, look at custom variables, sorry, back here, not custom variables, internal variables. You could stamp the time of day as well. So that's often a handy one, which is, where did that go? It's in there, Thursday. So we could give it a day of the week, date ISO. So I could copy this date ISO and come back to my button, and I could, if you wanted to, just letting you know there's a ton of other variables that you can put in there so that when this is marked in Notion, you'll not only get whatever text, but you'll get this variable, which will change depending on the day in this instance, or it could be the time. So you could use this to timestamp the time. It's probably not totally needed because Notion is also going to timestamp that. The other thing we want to do is we're going to start a button, start a session, sorry. So that is where we go, I type in session and we had timestamp demo, start a session, and we can give this a name. So one of the things that I quite like for this is, again, if I go over here, there's a YouTube variable, so I can pull the name of this particular live stream and put it in there. So I could go to this one, YouTube Unfinished, that is pulling out the episode name here, and I could put that in there. So this means that every time I start a session, the title of that session is going to be coming from my YouTube name. So it's just less text that we have to type, which is handy. All right, so let me see if I can, if this is all working, then we should be able to come back into here and we shall see what happens. So let's just say I'm going to start a session. There we go. You can see it's already just immediately dumped in this, and I chose to have it with a start record, but it doesn't have to have a start record. And now it's just working away in the background, and you can kind of set and forget this. And then anytime you wanted to mark something, and this doesn't even have to be live streaming, so if you wanted to do like manual markers, then you could do this for recording as well. I'm going to hit a mark, and I think I did the right one. There we go. Takes a second to come in. Mark, mark. So you can see the text I had mark here is coming in, and then that date is being pasted in there, and you could use whatever other variable data you want to pull in there that's going to make sense for what you're marking. The other thing you can do is on the Stream Deck or just using an iPad, you could create a whole list of buttons if you wanted to have specific names in there. So let me go to this one, I think. So if we went to, where are we? I've got this mark demo, but you could create a whole array of like good take, bad take, you know, wide shot, close up, whatever you wanted to do. You could make a whole bunch of buttons and just sort of do it like that. Okay, let's get on to part two. We're going to look at the capture of this, and I was starting to go into that there. But once you've set up Notion and Companion, when we're doing a live stream, we want these chapters to be captured automatically as much as possible, and then sometimes manually where we need that. So what I've got is on, you can actually go to my website, and there is a blog post to show you how to do this. So if you go over to Live, Install, and Automate YouTube Chapter Markers, this is kind of what I'm explaining here of how to connect to it. And then there's three things that we can do for different types of capturing. Manually pressing a button, which I was showing you there, linking it to other companion actions, or else doing automatic triggers. So I'll go through each of these, and you can get a sense of how to create all of your chapter markers so that at the end of a live stream, you actually have a whole bunch of data. Most notably was just manually. So just say I wanted to, let me just clear out some buttons here and make some space. So maybe I wanted to say good take like that. And I would go to timestamp, create marker, and I go good take like that. And I could give it a little color or something down here. Maybe we'll make it green. Green, good take. And we can cut and paste, copy and paste, and we can go bad take. And we'll make that one sort of orange. And then we can just update this text. Bad take. And And what else could we do? Whatever you want to do. You've got a bunch of buttons here. You can just sort of create a whole array of buttons to work with. And now when I go over to Notion, you'll see when if I'm going through a live stream, or even, as I was saying before, a recording, you could just hit good take for that to be marked in there, good take, and then bad take, bad take. So that's kind of the manual approach if you wanted to actually hit a button, but you may want to instead do something, whoop, I hit the wrong button there. Let's bring it back up to my face. You may want to do something that is more, it's like semi-automated, and for that I'm calling that linked. If you have my paid profile, then you can, there's a part of that which I call DJFQ, and that is down here. So DJFQ is kind of the first 5 pages here, and then the queue here is you can build a run of show that you can then automatically advance through. But behind each of these buttons is actually a Notion timestamp marker. So as you advance through one of the chapters and you move on to a next section of the show. So for here, I've got like a pre-show, show start, and then parts 1, 2, 3. These are all very important points in the structure of my live stream, goodbye and wrap. And every time I move on to the next section by just advancing the button, there's sort of a linked action from advancing to the next cue that is also laying down chapter markers there for the particular sections of my show. So the way that you would do that really is, it depends how you want to integrate it. But if you were to do it just by going into, trying to find a bit of focus here, is like this, I mean, you could basically do it by adding it on to anything that you wanted. So if we come over to here, if you had keys, for example, where you are doing an action, so like maybe you're just cutting and you just wanted to create a log of camera 1, 2, 3, and which one was on air at one time. So behind your cutting buttons here, if I go to here, so as I'm changing the preview here, or maybe even better program, as I'm cutting, you would just in here, go in there and add like a Notion marker, and you'd put in camera 1. So that's one way to make it that's like aligned to the other things that are happening in your profile. In my profile with the DJFQ, there's sort of a skin page on the back end, and that's where these timestamps are created. So when you advance a cue, it's pressing a button on the back end, and it is laying down a marker. In this instance, you can actually pull the text from the variable of a button. So I'm saying use the button text from page 5, button 9. So you can see if I go over to page 5, button 9, it's saying whatever is put in there, copy that. So that's another way of doing sort of a linked action. Then the last one, which is probably the best one of all because you don't have to do anything, is if you were to basically automate it entirely using triggers in Companion. So if you go to triggers under here, this is where you can add a trigger, and we could go, I'm just going to call this demo because I always forget when I've created new ones. Capture comment, and you would basically do what I'm doing from, I've got one created here already, H2R comment. Let me just remind myself what I'm doing here. Events becoming true, on air, create a marker. Okay, so we're saying when the event happens, when the condition becomes true, that I'm going to say H2R, which is the graphics that I'm using to bring comments onto screen. When the graphic status is going on air, and the particular graphic that I want is the one of these Where is it? I think it just says social somewhere. I'm not seeing this. I'm going to jump back to here. Social JWC. That's the one. Where is it? I must have gone straight past it. There we go. Okay. So when this graphic is coming on air, let me go to H2R and bring over rundown. Okay. Drag this across. Maybe I'm going the wrong way. Hang on a sec. Let me see if I, nope, not that one. I can't bring it over. It's not letting me drag it. How am I going to do that? Why is that not letting me drag it? Okay, under my H2R graphics, why is that not letting me drag it? Let me see. H2R, I could probably just pull it up here. What do we got? 7. Why is that not coming up? All right, H2R has a window. I can't seem to move it across my desktop. Under the rundown, there is you can add in social comments. So that's what I've got here. If I go edit over here, you can change the positioning and all that kind of stuff. When you click it, it's going to bring a comment on air, and click it again to take it off. And then under social, you can actually manage all of these, and we can click that to bring a comment on and take it off. And so this particular comment, Companion is watching to see when this social comment is coming on air, and then it's going to do something. In this case, we are going to get it to basically create a marker. So I'm going to timestamp demo. And then I want the message to be the, this is the one part of this whole process that I think will hopefully get improved soon. I've been asking John at H2R Graphics to try and get someone within Companion to get this through, but I really want to see under variables, if you go to H2R, then you can see this is where the variable content is coming in, and you can copy this one here, copy, for the social comments. At the moment, it just reads as social. It's not actually bringing in the text, but if it could, then we would be able to get the questions in here as well, and not just that. So you would either paste that in, or you might just type in comment, which is what I've had in before. Okay, so we then need to turn this one on, and we're ready to test this. And so we can go over to integrations. Where are we? Here we go. All right, so this is turned on, and when the social comments come on air, then it should be the case that this will get logged. So let's just hit this again. And there you go, it's logged that in there. See, it came in with the text comment, and put social in there, but ideally it would just have the question. That's my hope that I want to get to, but for the moment, I've just put in comment, and that's been, or it's a question in my own ones, and that's where it is done pretty well of like being able to log everything. And then at least it's got like a marker that you can then go type that out. All right, I'm going to clear all that. And let's get to the last section here when we talk about how to take the data from Notion and put that into YouTube. There's a little bit of conversion that we need to do here, and it's mainly about resyncing markers, because you've got YouTube just looks at the duration of the live stream. So you saw before at 3 minutes 32 or something, that's when the show was starting. But in terms of what that time code is in Notion, it could have a different time on it. So I'm going to come back over to, where was my demo here? This is episode 67. So this is what I'm trying to end up with here, is just like this sort of time code and text. Sorry, I haven't jumped over here. All right, I'm trying to end up, remember, with just this very simple time code and the text associated with it. And let me jump into Notion, and I'm going to go to that page from what I had before. Scroll down here, episode 67. 68, was it? 67, where was it? 67, okay. All right, so this is how the, let me just reset. Okay, when you've finished your time code, when you finished your live stream, if you don't stop the session, it will eventually just, I'm trying to remember when it crashes it out. It will just close it off at some point. So if you don't stop a session, it's not the end of the world. If you do want to stop a session, you can manually do that by one of the actions that we showed you. And you'll end up with this kind of thing. There's two problems here. Actually, this will be over here. I've already moved this around. You'll see the message, and you've got the companion time and then the date and time here. So this is all actual, very accurately logged here. But what I really want is just this timestamp value. This is kind of the duration. I want that to match up with what YouTube is seeing. So let me go over to our thing here. So imagine the chapter markers are not here. I would be scrubbing through, and I'm looking for a marker. I'm looking for the start of my show, basically. And I know that when my show starts is when that marker was pressed. And so the one time that you need to find this is, I'll be clicking about here. Oh, 21 seconds. Where are we? Come back here. Okay, so press the button there, 3:36. That is what that should read as in Notion. But if we go over to Notion, you'll see that the show start is at 4 minutes and 2 seconds. So we need to convert this data so that YouTube can read it. So we're just resyncing the markers here. So when you come into Notion, there's two things that you're going to need to do. One is just go to companion date and time and sort by ascending. This will turn it around so that it starts at 0 and then gets, the numbers get bigger as it goes. And then the other thing you want to do is just drag this timestamp value over here. And then you can have this duration field here and the message field here. Now, I don't need all of the start data. I just want to, I'm trying to get this marker here, my show start. That was the marker that I want to resync to the 3 minutes 32. But at the moment it's 4:02, so I need to work out the difference of that. And I need to subtract that, and then I need to cascade that through all of these markers, which is a pain in the butt. But I created a free spreadsheet for you guys so you can download that and make that much easier. Again, if you go to my website, under, where are we? Under here, under this Automate YouTube markers, chapter markers with Notion timestamp, blog post, down here, you'll see you can open this read-only Google Sheet. Click on that, and this is a sheet that you can copy and then paste. So once you've opened up this link, I'm just going to close this other version down. Just go to File, make a copy, so you can make a copy of this. And then for each show that you do, you probably just want to duplicate the sheet. So I'm going to duplicate that. And I would, for example, make this episode 69. And this is what actually it was 67, wasn't it? 69 is the other one. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Notion, and this is the marker that I want to sync. So I'm just going to drag a marquee over that and go down to, I don't need wrap, I just want to, until the goodbye section here. Drag that, I'm going to copy that, Command C, and then I go back to here, and to this yellow box here, select that and paste that in here. So now remember, we're going from ascending order, so it's starting at the low number and going to the high number. And then you'll see up here to 111 is goodbye, and you've got these parts 1, 2, and 3. So then the only other thing you need to do is, remember we found that marker here. If I come back to, where are we? I'm going to scroll back a bit. That's too much time. Okay, so I'm looking for, I'll just wait for it to run. So when you've done a live stream, there wouldn't be any of these markers in here. So there'll just be a blank, blank timeline. So you can see 4, 3, 2, 1, and then there is where I've pressed the button. So that's 3:35 is what I want this marker to become. And this one is obviously already in there, but you'll just go into here and you could change this 3:36 and you'll see all the numbers will cascade. So change that. This should be the first marker that you want it to be, 3:35. Okay, so now on this side, these are the corrected time codes. And you can also just jump in here and type over the top of it, show start. And you could, you could call this part 1, how to grow on YouTube or whatever it was. So you can make your changes here and then just copy that data, Command C, and then we're going to jump into the video detail. You can see I've made a few changes here, and basically you're going to go, you wouldn't have any of this. You would be typing this out, so you'd be going 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, pre-roll. You've got to have that 0, 0 in there. If you don't have chapters starting at 0, YouTube won't read the rest of the data. I've managed to delete everything now. All right, so you can type the first one out as a base level 0 and then just paste that in. And then you'll see that these will just be pasted in, and then you have all of your chapters, and then hit save, and then you will have all of these chapter markers come in. So once you've hit saved, this is where you could go in and if you had specific questions, you could type that out. As I said, ideally in the future, we'll have H2R sort of working nicely for that. So that is how to get the chapter markers there, and hopefully, yeah, that's easy as pie. Once you've set up the integration, then and you've got a sort of workflow down, it really is very simple. I know there's a lot of steps in today's tutorial, but what I'm doing now is I'm just on my Stream Deck. When I start a show, I just hold down my start button here, and I've got actions which start a session, and then all of the H2R comments are logged, and anytime I advance a show, that's logged, or that's mainly what I use. I don't use any manual ones, but you could do the manual ones. So once that's set up, the integration stays. You don't have to worry about, let me go back here. Like all of this stuff stays connected. I've never had to update it. So much so that I've been using it for like a year or more, and I've had to refresh myself how to do this all because it was so long ago that I set it up and it just stayed connected. So that's what's really nice about that is you don't have to go and sort of refresh the API or reconnect those things. So once you've set it up, you'll reap the dividends of that for a long time. And you can see from my run of show here, I've just got a lot of sessions in there that I've sort of tweaked over time and sort of made more to do with that. So anyway, let's have a look at questions and see what you guys have. Brother Michael says, really appreciate this content. It's a perfect solution and time saver for what we are trying to do. Yeah, hope you give that a go, install that, and hopefully that should save you a lot of time. It is something that I actually use. That is, every week when I've done a live stream, it's once with that sort of arrange the data, convert it, and paste it into YouTube. That's all I have to do now. And so that's, very easy. I think the next step for me would be like, if in GitHub we could get the guys who are running that Notion module to do some of that formatting already. And then it might just be converting the actual marker. Okay, Sharif says, is it possible to use Companion offline only within LAN? It certainly is. That's a good question, because I know a lot of people talk about like, you know, online and live streaming and that kind of stuff, but you could, with no internet, you could use Notion to, oh, hang on, companion. Notion you would need an internet connection for because it's sending it to a cloud-based software. So that could be a bottleneck in terms of being offline. But Companion itself doesn't need to connect to the internet. That's just operating locally within the network. Let me see if I've got, I think I had this last week. Slides. I'll see if I can bring up a network setup here. This one, where are we? Here we go. Okay. This is all happening over the local network. So yes, here you have your internet coming in through your modem into your router switch. And so for example, like your camera could stream out to the internet via your router, or your ATEM is doing the encoding and then streaming out to the internet. But if you got rid of the internet, you would still have this local environment and you would still have Companion, the application, which is installed on a computer. It could be Mac, Windows, Raspberry Pi. It doesn't even need to be a computer that you really have a, keyboard and that kind of stuff. Like if you have a Raspberry Pi, you could run it in headless mode where you've got no monitor. And then using a different computer, you could access that web page on the local network. And basically that computer, that application Companion on the computer is talking to the camera to send commands. It's sending commands to the ATEM, and then the Stream Deck or the tablet, they are connected into Companion, which is controlling the devices. So certainly from a switching point of view or running graphics, any of that is all happening locally on the network. Unfortunately, the one thing that you would need internet connection for, which is not much data, like it's a very, it's not the same as like live streaming. It's just you would need an internet connection to use Notion. I'm pretty sure, unless there's an offline mode, but I don't think there is. I think it's actually like it's sort of running through the cloud. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, Michael says, thanks for the tutorials. Do you know if there's a way to group team comments into, or wrap? Maybe saying wrap. Team comments into H2R. Yes, so H2R, oh my God, let's see if I can bring this thing over. I don't know why it wouldn't drag. So why not drag over? Maybe because I'm in full screen. That's it. Let me get out of full screen and drag this one over. Okay, here we go. Let me just get rid of that. Arrange my desktop here, and just so we can come here nice and clean. So I'm not going to turn this off because it's, I'm running a show at the moment, so it's a bit harder to explain there. But in H2R, you have this control panel when you open that up, and I'm running on my network mode. So that means, as you saw before, I could go to a web browser, type in this address, and then I can actually access all of these pages and make changes or see the comments and bring the comments on screen. So that's the kind of top of the funnel of like, or the bottom of the funnel probably, in terms of what is pushing the data onto screen. And if I was to X out of this, there's two options here. One is you can connect directly to YouTube via the API there, which is what I used to do for a couple of years. And then this year I've been using HTTP Listener, which you can see is turned on here. And then it's running at this local address. So .7.16 is my computer that is running H2R. And then the rest of this is where that specific comments are coming into. So social here. So this is where grab, yeah, sorry, I got your comment here. this is where I'm bringing the comments onto screen. So when I click that, then that is actually doing, like bringing the comment on, and then the ATEM's doing a chroma key cutout. So that's that end. But, and then you can see, I don't know if we've got anyone on, I haven't really been monitoring Facebook, but today I decided to live stream to Facebook alongside YouTube. I was doing Instagram a couple of weeks back, and I thought I'll give Facebook a go. So this was a test comment here that I was bringing on. I just wanted to make sure it was coming through. So I can click that, and that comes up with the picture and the site that you're watching on. And I can click again to take it away, but everyone else is on YouTube because that's sort of my usual channel. So YouTube, Facebook, and then you could bring on Zoom, or you could bring on Teams. And the way that you would do that is, if we go back to Chrome, is I have an extension called Social Stream Ninja. If you go to Social Stream Ninja, like so, where is that? Under here on GitHub, you would go to, I'm trying to remember, I did this a while ago. Is it this one? I can never remember. Actions, code, I think it's somewhere in here. What am I doing? This one. New in this version. I haven't done this in a while. Okay, so there's Windows, or yeah, I'll have to refresh myself because it's again one of those things where I installed it and then it's just there and I just use it. So I'm trying to remember how I put that together. But basically from Steve's GitHub page, you would download that extension and then you install it into Chrome. You can see here, I can trigger a fake test message like so. And if I go back over to H2R graphics, it'll bring in this, fake comment from Twitch or whatever. So you can test out if it's, if the browser extension is coming over to H2R. And then under, so basically what this application does, or the extension does, is any chat windows that you have open, it's scraping that data and then sort of, you can either push that out into a web browser, or you can scroll down to mechanics under here, and then I'm saying send all of the chat that you've scraped, send that to H2R server, and then I've pasted in this network address here, which you remember that one is the same as this address here. So it's the extension that is, so this is all happening on the one computer. So I guess what's neat about that is you don't have to go install some API and connect multiple things. But the downside is you do have to have all that happening on an actual computer somewhere for it to scrape that. And then what else is it grabbing? The other thing, and then quick open chat pop-ups. This is where you can, I don't know if this is gonna, I haven't played with this in a while. Facebook open chat, is that gonna, oh, okay, so here's the live stream. And I think, hopefully this isn't gonna loop my audio back. I'm gonna just turn this audio off just in case. I think it should pull in the comments there. It was pulling them in before. It was pulling them in from the producer window. So I just had that open. But the thing to note is on your YouTube. So if you're pulling them in from YouTube, this is where you need to go up here and go pop out the chat, which I think is still working. Here we go, because I popped one out and there we go. So it'll pop out into a window like that, and this is where it's scraping that data from. So it's not like, it can get a little bit messy, particularly if you've got a couple of windows and, it's not, I wouldn't say it's perfect. Perfect is kind of like where it just happens on the back end and you don't have to connect anything, because it means that every week I have to have that window open. And so if I don't have that window open, it doesn't retroactively go and get those comments. So that window and that extension has to be open when the comments are made. for it to bring it into H2R for me to be able to put it on the screen. So if you miss that, like if the window's shut down and then you go and open it, it doesn't just like bring all of that session in. So you need to make sure that's in there and ready to go. Yeah. We've got Eric saying, don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate that. And what else have we got in here? We've got, where are we? I find it easier to read on a iPad sometimes. Michael, hope I answered that. Michael says, awesome, thanks a lot. I will try this one. Did not know. Thanks again. Yeah, Social Stream's been around for quite a while. I just had never tested it out until this year. And I'm sticking with it because it's been pretty simple to operate. And it means that if I ever needed to add on Zoom or add on Teams or Instagram or whatever, I don't have to change my whole workflow to get those comments in there. It's all kind of in there already. So I would recommend. It's also free, so you know it's hard to say no to that when you can go and just test it out and see if it works for you. All right, a couple more minutes here if you have any questions, and then we can wrap up. Back on to timecode stamping. Is there a way to pull the ATEM's actual timecode via Companion? I know the SDK has it available. That's a great question. And if you go to my website and you download the free control profile that I had here, this one, these buttons aren't just pretty. You can start and stop a session, but the marker here, I've preloaded it with a bunch of metadata, and some of that is actually the time code. So what it will end up with is Notion. Where did I put that? Free ATEM switcher. Is that the one? No. Automatic. I was doing test page. One of these ones. I was doing a lot of tests, trying to find where I was. Here we go. If you hit that marker button, essentially, anytime you hit the marker, it's kind of like just the fact that you've logged something is kind of the same as saying like marker. So I wanted to put something in here which is more useful. So you'll see you'll have a timestamp here, which is the timestamp duration according to the session that you started. You'll have the actual date and time. So January 31st is when I was doing this test one. So your actual date is like logged down to the well, the minute there, but then there's also like to the second here, companion date and time to the millisecond, I guess. Gets down to the decimals there. And so in the message field, I've used variables to pull this data in. So what I'm pulling in is the record time of the ATEM, the live time, how long the ATEM's been streaming for, and what's on program. So this is camera 3, and then the YouTube extension will show you how many viewers you had at that point in time. So that's data in that free template download. This one here, when you hit that, it will mark it. Let me see if I can give that a shot. I'm not sure what this one's connected to. Yeah, if I hit that, I think that's under my current one. Is that right? Here we go. Cool. So that one just logged that in there. Okay. It's not showing me record or live. Got to check why that is. It might not be connected to the right one. You can see I'm in SuperSource 1 is what's in my program right now. And then we've got 9 people in the chat. So that can log that. And then under, where are we? Bit focus. Okay. If you go to buttons, let's go to 75. Mark, this is where I've got the variables in here. So record, ATEM record duration. Okay, so I got the NA because the module is stamping ATEM, but the one that's doing the recording for me at the moment is actually ATEM2. I've got ATEM, ATEM2, and ATEM3, which is the 2ME constellation, the Extreme Pro, no, sorry, the Extreme and then the Pro. So they're the sort of three that are connected. So that's why that came up as not correct. But if I went 2 and 2, then that would, I come back over to here, and I think I'm on the right page. Here we go. Okay, so you can see the recording is 59 minutes 43, and the live is 59:07. So there's an example of if you were using this mark button to put some mark in there, then you'll have this log. Because I do use the ATEM Extreme a lot for just recording tutorials and that kind of stuff. So even if you're not live streaming, you could use that marker and just say you're 37 minutes into something and you're like, that was a good take. Then you could hit mark, and then you'll have this list of all of those actual timecode ones that you could refer back to. So that's pre-built in there. The live is talking about how long the ATEM has been streaming for, not necessarily how long YouTube has been live for. They can be different depending on when you start it. That's why we had to go through that syncing process that I showed with the Google Sheets. But that's where you would pull that from. And while we're on that note, actually, let me just fix my template here. There we go. And under variables, ATEM, this is where you're going to find all of that data. I'm going to go back to, this is my 2ME, so it's not going to have the recording one. But if I go to my ATEM, where is it? ATEM 2. I'm going blind. Okay, here we go. ATEM 2. This is my ATEM Mini Extreme. It's showing what's in the audio, what are the names, all this kind of stuff. And if you keep going down and down and down and down, all this data you could, if you copy these variables, they'll end up in your marker. It's down the bottom. No, I don't want to go too far. Here we go. Recording duration. So you could put in the hours, minutes, seconds, or you could just put in the minutes and seconds if you want. And you can also put in the record remaining and all that kind of stuff. And as I was showing you before, under variables, if you go to the internal one, you can put in the date and time under here. Is that down all the way down here? Here we go. So you could put in the time of day or that kind of stuff. So hopefully that, oops, taking buttons, pressing the wrong buttons here. All right, what are we, 3:57, about time to wrap up. Great question here from Phil. Thank you for the Facebook question. I haven't been monitoring Facebook, but hopefully everything is good over there. But that's a good example of Facebook running at the same time. Let me see. This is what's happening on Facebook here. You can see Phil just brought in this comment here, and then my extension has. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to hit my buttons here. Okay, this is what the producer window of Facebook looks like. So it was down here, it was going live, and this is where I would end live video. And the comments that are in here, so when Phil posted that comment, the extension in the Chrome browser scraped that and put it into H2R such that I could bring that on the screen. So that is how that is working. And the actual question is, how are you routing to YouTube and to Facebook? Does it affect bandwidth to multiple sources? So probably the best route is if you were to have an encoder that is pushing a stream to something like Restream, and then that service on the end is multiplying it out to YouTube, Facebook, whatever else you are working on. I haven't paid for that service, and I don't need it per se. But in my studio, if I can pull up, I don't know if you can see up here. Probably can't. Let me see if I can pan up here a bit. Over here, I've got, actually I think I have a preset here. On my rack, I've got an ATEM Extreme and a Pro and a web presenter, which is inside that rack underneath that you can't quite see. So I've got like 3 encoders there, and I'm using 2 of them. And I'm on Ethernet, and so I've got plenty of bandwidth here. But yes, if you were in a venue and you only had 20 meg up, or I don't know, less than that, then you'd probably want to push one source out to the cloud and then have that distributed. But I have the encoders and I have the bandwidth here, so I'm using the web presenter to go to YouTube, and I'm using the Extreme to go to Facebook. And then above that is my 2ME Constellation HD, which is doing all the switching and sending those programs to those encoders. So I haven't had a problem with it, and hopefully it looks good on Facebook. Let me know. Yeah. All right, top of the hour, so we should wrap up here. Okay, skipped a comment here. Microfile, DaVinci. Kenon says, I would love it if this wouldn't be made a local marker file that was already formatted for DaVinci, so you could immediately import DaVinci in their ISO recording project. I would love that too. That would be awesome. I'm sure there's someone on GitHub who could probably build that and incorporate that into Companion. Companion I like because it's kind of like that hub, which has all of those other connected applications, graphics, switcher, all that kind of stuff. So if you need specific metadata, you can bring that in through Companion. There is another module called Google Sheets in Companion. I was never getting it to the point where it was like a easy workflow. It was very clunky, and it would only remember one sheet. And then I think there's been some updates to it, so I might look at it again. Google Sheets would be awesome, but it was very like you build a specific sheet. So if you want to templatize that and use that for multiple shows or distribute that to people, it wasn't like easily adaptable. Whereas Notion, I've found, is like, as I said, once you've set it up, like I've never had to fix anything. It's always worked. So it's been very reliable in that regard. To-dos, where are we? Already formatted for DaVinci. I think I just did that one, didn't I? For ISO recording. This could be an interesting way of setting this up to do a marker to recreate an EDL that you could import. I'm sure you could set up something similar, if you just, because once you've got those markers, you really just take it into a sheet, and then you're probably exporting it as I don't know, XML or CSV or whatever, but there would be a way to do that. Because really the most important thing there is the time between each marker, and Notion can do that, but would be nice to have that. We made a basic system for that, but it goes around the house a bit and could probably make a much cleaner version to pull from Companion. I think that would be nice. Google Sheets, again, would be great, but it's also, I'm pretty sure you'd have to be going through the web. I'm not sure if the offline version of Google Sheets would actually, because Companion would be tapping into the API, so you'd have to go via the web. Eric says, that's a very nice website. Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Rob says, hey, good to see you. And Kenan says, oh dang, give the Google Sheets one a look. Definitely worth a look into. I know that since version 3 point something of Companion has come out, there have been some changes made to that. So it'd be interesting to know if that is something that's, you can set it up and then it just kind of works for each show. Google Sheets would be, I mean, if you can get that working, what's great about Google Sheets is that kind of any average corporate person knows how to use Google Sheets and kind of can get in there. So you could have your run of show in Google Sheets, and you could have a non-video person who's helping you produce the show and has some access to Google Sheets, which is updating cues and timing and that kind of stuff. So, which may be more control than you want to give a layman. So hopefully that was helpful. Good to see you on Facebook as well, because it's been a while since I've done that to Facebook, but I'm trying to do more channels and just test out some of the comments and that kind of thing. So thank you for joining, and until next week. You can find me on Instagram at David Joshua Ford, or website davidjoshuaford.com is where you can get the free profile, which has the buttons for the markers, and also you can get the free Google Sheet download if you want to start converting your Notion data into YouTube chapter markers. Hope that was helpful. Always great to be here with you, and I'll see you on next week's show. Take care. Bye.